Welcome back to Unmasking Humanity, Revealing the Human Spirit with Joshua T. Berglan. I'm your host, Joshua T. Berglan, and as an omnimedia producer, my mission is driven by a deep passion for the underserved. I believe everyone deserves access to the tools and inspiration that can help them thrive. That's why I pour my heart into creating resources, including the books I've written, specifically designed to empower and uplift those whose voices are often unheard. This very broadcast, Unmasking Humanity, is part of that mission, and it comes all together at joshuatberglan.com, my platform where you'll find a wealth of free resources, from insightful podcasts like this one to thought-provoking movies, empowering books, and much more, all designed to fuel your journey of personal growth and resilience. Today, we have the distinct honor of shining a light on a man whose story deeply resonates with this mission, Thomas Scaria. Thomas's journey is a powerful example of the indomitable human spirit, the ability to rise from adversity, and the profound impact one person can have on others. From navigating the depths of loss to conquering incredible physical challenges as an ultra marathoner, now guiding others as a resilience and accountability coach and author of the upcoming book, Resilience and Rise 26.2 Transformative Miles to Unleash Your Marathon of Life Mindset. Thomas embodies the very essence of what it means to reveal the human spirit. Join me as we delve into Thomas's inspiring story, uncover the wisdom he's gained through extraordinary experiences, and discover how his journey can empower us all. Let's get started with Thomas Scaria. Thomas, welcome to Unmasking Humanity. How are you, my friend?
Amazing, fantastic, and in fact, again, thanks for this amazing introduction. Loved it, and it's such an honor and privilege being in the same space as you. And just thank you, grateful.
Well, I'm grateful to have you here. I was also grateful to be a guest on your amazing podcast, and I'm looking forward to that coming out. So we've shared space before, which is a little unusual for me when I'm doing an interview. I'm typically getting to know someone during the interview, but I've been blessed to kind of get to know you a little bit more over the last few months, and I'm just really honored to have you here. I love your way of being. I love the man that you are. I love what you've come from. I love your tenacity and how you would just attack life, but at the same time, you attack it with a furious love. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful to be around you on social media. It's wonderful to share space with you. And frankly, I'm just really honored to have you here.
Feeling is mutual.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that. All right. Before we get into your questions today, I would love to know, Thomas, what are you grateful for today and why?
Every morning I wake up with one thought, and that has been a thought. It has been a thought for a long time. It's great to be alive. I'm just thankful for the fact that I am alive, and this is a day that's a gift for me. And it's my choice on what I would want this day to be. And with that, I get out of the bed and I say, okay, bring it on. And why is, for me, it's as simple as life is for living, not for existing. And the more I make use of life, the better it is for me. And that's what I would say.
Excellent. Thank you for that answer. It's a very unique answer, actually. Wasn't expecting that. I like it.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I get a different, obviously when I ask this question, I ask to open up every episode. I've been doing it since my Gratitude Unfiltered days. And sometimes I get generic answers where I want to end the interview immediately. And other times I get really profound, deep answers. And other times I get something completely unexpected that causes me to want to sit there in silence for 15 minutes and analyze what was just said. And that was your gratitude statement. It's like I just want to sit there and imagine your life as you shared that story. And so I appreciate that. That's a good way to start. And now I'm really excited for these questions. Are you ready for your questions, sir?
Let's go for it.
All right. This is going to be fun. I'm really excited about picking inside your head here. All right, Thomas. Reflecting on your time as a successful project manager, what core aspects of your human spirit, your drive, your ambition, your approach to connection do you see reflected in the person you are today?
Wonderful. So I will take a step back before project manager. Thank you for that question. My activity has been in service delivery, taking care of in case there has been a challenge. For I was in IT industry, and if there have been people having problems with the issues, I would go and resolve it. So for me, it has always been the core that how can I help another person? And when I go over there and I find the issue or the challenge, for me, it is not just solving the problem, but showing them how to resolve it next time it happens.
Hmm.
So that flowed onto my element of project management because that got across my major elements of what people, scheduling, and getting things together. Of course, money also was there. But I realized even though I was a senior project manager, did quite a bit of good projects, etc., there was a calling which did not allow me to want to continue in that particular space. And more so, I started writing this particular book and I realized there is something more deeper than my existence
Hmm.
in just as a project manager. That's when I realized the difference between existing and living. And I moved into the space of writing a book. And if I can show it, this is the book, which is going to be coming out in just hopefully in another few weeks, somewhere March, April, May. But this is what it is. I realized there's more to life. And again, I was blessed with the fact that the characteristics were already there that I could reach out to another human. The moment we start seeing people as humans, I think so that makes a difference. When they turn to me, one of my statements as a service delivery or a project manager was, I exist because of you. What I meant to say is that if you did not need me, if you had known all the answers, I would not be required. And this has converted more into the coaching space, which I talk about, is that we are like angels with one wing. When we hold another, that's when we can fly higher. So that's who I am at this point of time, and it's every day's evolution. And as you mentioned, is that when I'm doing this, when I'm in my space of doing the podcast, Resilience Plus Rise, it makes me feel immensely grateful. You told me about what I was grateful for. What humanity goes through, there is no option but to say thank you.
Hmm.
Whether we are thanking God or the universe or life itself, thank you that I'm waking up from a bed that I've got to sleep, warm room, food that could be waiting for me, getting it ready. So everything is there. So the transformation is that I have become more human from a project manager. Now it is, I love what I am, and it's still growing.
That's a really good answer. Huh. I like that. Gosh, that's another one of your statements. I just want to sit there in silence and think about that for a long time. And I guess I'll have to do that when I rewatch this. The simultaneous loss of your father and your job was a profound test of your spirit. Beyond the immediate grief, what foundational understanding of yourself or humanity helped you navigate such immense darkness?
It's wonderful that you asked me the question because, yes, the day I lost my father, within 8 hours. I also my company got me out of my job, even though they had known what I was going through, but they were continuing with their work. So that was a different story. But for me, there was another element because initially it hit where it hurts the most. And I took a step back and asked, why is this happening? I would have loved to get into the victim and the martyr mentality, saying that why me, why now? It was a time of COVID. I could go and sit in my bedroom or just sit and cry like there's no tomorrow. And it could have been justified. But universe, life, God gave me a gift of running. And I turned that running into my meditative space. It was during that time I was rereading a book from Viktor Frankl, wherein man's search for meaning for life, wherein he says, between stimulus and response, in that lies our sorry, I'll just say is lies our freedom and the power to choose. And that comes to the attitude.
Mm.
So when I took a step back and I said that, okay, what is this teaching me? I found a sense of peace that I started accepting life is happening not to me, but for me to understand something. That got me to the next particular chapter of my life is that what can I do so that it could be a change for one person or many others.
Mm.
And that's where I moved into my next life chapter, saying that, okay, it happened. Now, what next?
Well, what next? What you ran 5 marathons, right, in 5 weekends?
Yes, I did that because that happened. And again, when I looked into it, uh, I started looking into the gifts that we or I was given. So one of the gifts was my running. Though I come from a background of absolutely a non-athletic persona, but I would just love running. I'm not a fast runner, but I am a runner, and I can go on and on and on. So I look back and say that if this is a gift what the universe has given me, how can I change it for the betterment of somebody else? So there was nothing that, though I would go and do races and I would put some money in donation. And that point of time, there was a small placard which came in my mailbox saying that they needed donation for cancer research. And there were a couple of people who I had known in very close quarters who were going through that challenge, and or they were coming into a point wherein they had to take care of somebody else going through that. So I signed up saying that I'm going to do a fundraiser for doing 5 weekends, 5 marathons. So 26 miles or 42 kilometers. And this was a war cry, not more about cancer or cancer research. It was a war cry for the people who were by the bedside, for the people who were challenged with cancer. Because a person going through cancer, yes, they can cry, they can grieve, they can be a lot of things what they want to be. But what do you tell the person who's standing by the bedside? How do you give them a shoulder to cry? And I wanted through my runs to be that particular shoulder. And a question which gets asked is that 5 marathons, didn't you get hurt? Didn't you feel the pain? Yes, I did feel the pain. But when I compare that pain to a person who's undergoing that same challenges on the other side of another place, I could handle it.
Mm.
I could go and come back to my room, put some balm, put some ointment, and I could feel better. But the challenges for another person who's going through the challenges over there, they could not do that. They had to continue day in, day out with just living on a hope,
Mhm.
faith, and prayer, maybe.
Your transformation from a 2-pack-a-day smoker to an ultra marathoner is a testament to the power of change. What was the pivotal shift in your mindset or spirit that enabled such a radical transformation?
I think so. That was one of my easiest of decisions that I ever made in my life. Uh, I had a smoke one night, came to bed, and I picked up a book and I was reading, and I saw my wife sleeping. Something just hit me and said that, you know what, I want to live. And I said, okay, if I want to live, I want to live healthy. And that's it, cold turkey. So just walked away from it, and I felt that was the easiest decision, and it was not difficult because it was already there that I wanted to do it.
Did you look at it? I don't have this question planned, but did you look at the quitting as a choice? Like, for instance, I guess I may ask the question by preferencing it like this. I didn't quit loving drugs. Like, I didn't wake up one day and go, gosh, I hate drugs. I didn't. But the difference was I found something I loved more, and that was the purpose God created me for and what I get to do in that purpose. That's why I chose to stop using drugs. For you, was there any similarity to choosing to quit smoking? Because some people have to go to Smoking Anonymous or whatever,
Oh yeah,
whatever that's called. What was the mindset approach to quitting?
So you just put out a very perfect element is that purpose. So as I mentioned, I was sleeping, getting ready to sleep, and I saw my wife, and I said, my purpose is that I want to have a healthy life with her. Okay, because morning I used to wake up, and the first thing I would do is, even before anything, jump out of the bed, take a cigarette, I take a smoke, go to the balcony and have a smoke.
Mm-hmm.
It had taken over my life, and I said no. And it was, of course, when you smoke, you're not in the best, healthiest terms, and I was not a very healthy person. So I said, that's it. Let me live life more fuller, and that was it.
Love it. As a resilience coach, you witness the struggles and the triumphs of many, many individuals. What common threads have you observed in the human spirit that allow some to bounce back from adversity while others struggle?
One of the elements which has been a common factor is that a lot of us, we know that we have got resilience within us. Whether we call it as a mindset, whether we call it as a muscle, whether we call it as something, an attribute, a characteristics. The difference which I found is that sometimes to dig deep within, they may go with a teaspoon, or there might be somebody who may be going with a bucket. And that, my friend, makes a difference. How deep are you going to dig? Are you going to dig with a bucket, or are you going to dig with a teaspoon? And that makes a difference. Because it is, as we talk about, it's the perseverance. It is the knowledge that, yeah, sure, I can do it, but how to do it? What gets me to the next thing? Or I've forgotten. Because that's what I, as a coach, allow them to see, that you were strong, you are strong, but just because you have taken a break, it doesn't mean that the strength is gone.
Right. Oh.
And it's your choice. Do you want to go with a teaspoon, or do you want to go with a bucket?
I love it. There's so much wisdom. It's amazing. Your upcoming book, Resilience and Rise, aims to unlock a marathon of life mindset. What is the most essential element of the human spirit that you believe this mindset taps into?
I'll take a paraphrase from Marianne Williamson.
Oh.
We as humans, we forget how powerful we are. If we put our mind to it, we can conquer anything that we want to do. Of course, it's again the environment at a certain age. If you say that you want to get on to being the national champion of a sports game, it depends on, is your body ready? Is your mind? I mean, mind may be ready, but is your body willing?
Yeah.
And things like that. But again, when I talk about resilience rise, I take a parallel to the marathon of life. We all have got different challenges. How we overcome it, how we keep the story that matters to us at end of our journey. That's what I take from resilience plus rise.
I keep, when I listen to you talk, I keep getting these downloads, and I don't know, I don't even know why I'm sharing this right now, but I keep getting downloads of you sitting by a tree, just sitting there and talking, and you're in a public park somewhere.
Okay.
And people are just coming and coming and coming just to sit down, like one at a time, to listen to you talk. I don't know what that's about, but that's what I like. As you talk, I'm just seeing myself as one of the people sitting under the tree listening to you.
So
I'm mesmerized.
thank you, Joshua. That means a lot. But again, for me, when people ask me about what is resilience plus rise, I say that life is not a sprint; it's a marathon. It's a long distance game. It is filled with unpredictable terrains,
Mm.
uphill battles, and there are moments of sheer triumph. You got to recognize all those things. And as a marathoner or an ultra marathoner, success in life also requires resilience, focus, and the courage to keep moving forward,
Mm.
even when the road gets tough. So that's what I believe in, is that in today's world, whether it is in any other platform, it's all about shortcuts, quick wins. Here in this book, what I talk about, 26 miles, transformative miles, it's about embracing the journey. It is a testament to the power of discipline,
Mm.
perseverance, and most importantly, we forget the human spirit that has a capacity to thrive.
I love it. What is one small, consistent practice you believe can nurture and strengthen the human spirit in the face of daily pressures and potential burnout?
Oh, sorry. S- Sorry,
Oh, it's okay.
my apologies. Um,
Would you like me to repeat the question?
no, I got it. I got it. One of the elements which I feel myself I'm challenged time and again, is being present. There is no beauty apart from that. When you are present, when you know that this is what is happening, that's when we change the mindset for me rather than to me.
Mm.
Welcoming, whether we are talking about the Bible, wherein it says, don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow has got its own trouble. Bible it said, be in the present. Gita, the holy book of the Hindus, it talks about
Mhm.
whether it is a gain or a victory. It is all about now, how you see it as. There was also that famous poem by my son. If you accept the victory as well as the loss together, then you have become a man. So, being present, I think so, is one of the most profound, and that has been one of the tenets of this particular book, because I propagate this element of journaling, wherein you're not only thankful for what you have done or what's been happening, whether it's also the small victories or the speed bumps which may come across, but that helps you to get to the next level with more gratitude and with open arms, with the fact when you say the world does belong to you.
I love that. It reminds me of I used to hear a lot, and it really rings true for me that we've been talking about being present. Like the devil doesn't need to break your knees. He doesn't need to break your kneecaps. Doesn't need to kill you. Doesn't need to do any of that. All the devil has to do to win in that moment is distract you. Distract you from your purpose. Distract you from your family. Like distract you from your purpose. That's all he has to do, and he wins. And like when I heard that, it put social media in perspective. It put just being on my phone when I'm around family in perspective. It put how I've been in relationships in perspective. And it was sobering to me to the point that now I have this voice in my head every time I pick up my phone that I'm around people I love to go, hey, what are you doing? Like, what's more important to you? And it's something like that rings true. And maybe that's taking it to an extreme, but it's been one of the best triggers that I've ever given to myself to remind me of what really matters.
Absolutely wonderful. And that is so much of a game changer when you're with the people. Because what are we looking out for? Validations from the people you do not know, really?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
And
Hoping that one person that sees your post will help make it happen for you, will be that client, will be the one that helps you go viral, the one that's the drug. I see people all the time sacrificing time with their family to, just sit there and comment all day on social media, to reply to comments because that's what the algorithm wants. And it's like, what are we really doing by doing this?
True.
Are we showing God? Actually, hold on. I want to add one more thing to that.
Sure. Sorry.
Are we trusting the creator of all, the creator, God, whatever name people want to give? I don't know why people call God the universe, because God created the universe, but I also don't know a good name for God either. But anyway, the point is like, are we showing God that we trust him when we are diverting our attention away from what matters, family, love, real human touch, to go comment over and over and over and over again to try to get the algorithm to show our posts to more people so that we can hopefully find the right customer, the right partner, the right investor, and so on. And I'm as guilty of it as anybody. But it's all BS, because here's what I know. God is going to do what God wants to do. God makes a way when there's no way. I all of a sudden, I think about myself in my own experience. I had so much taken away from me that I could physically think, oh, I can do this on my own. That got taken away to the point that all I could do is rely on God. Like, all I can do is trust God. I can move in action. I can do something to stretch my faith each day. But ultimately, I'm relying on God. But am I playing God? I actually want your feedback on this.
Sure.
Am I playing God in some weird way by trying to trick the algorithms to get me exposed to the right people, instead of just saying, I'm going to trust the natural process that God has? I don't even know if that made sense, but do you know what I'm saying?
It does. And unfortunately, again, it's the way the machine has been working around.
Yeah.
People are talking about AI coming in. Yeah, it is for the good, and it can be taken from another way. But at this point of time, AI, we don't have to talk about AI coming in. It's already there, wherein we are hooked on to the number of likes or whether validations, etc. And one of the elements that I totally believe, Josh, is that if it is meant to happen, it will happen.
Yeah.
We two entities two different corners in its own way of North America. We were destined to meet. We had something that worked out very, very well. Did I have to wait for you to tell me how many likes that I can get or any specific comment? No, but there was something we just clicked and it happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where I believe is that there is an element of connectedness. We talk about God, or He has made, of course, the universe. But if you look at it, everything has got a certain process.
Yep.
The waves, they come from the ocean. There is all these particular things that 7 times it comes in. A flower which is being made, it has got a certain number of petals. Everything, every cell within its own body is taken care of. If you talk about God, God who has made the cosmos, if He's allowing the entire universes to go around, what makes you and me to think that we can take control of our own life and make a change to it?
Yeah. Well, we do have the power of choice.
His choices, yeah, even Adam and Eve had got a choice, and he gives us those elements that we can do. And it goes back again. If you're talking from the Bible point of view, he there's a story wherein he gave one person 5 talents, 3 talents, and 1 talent. So God gives us also a talent. It's what we can give back to Him with that talents that He has given us.
It's true. It's true. Gosh, I love that. It reminds me of one of the strangest things in my walk. And my walk is what I call with my walk with God. Is the realization that I had the same gifting as a corrupt, borderline evil person as I did when I started walking with God. But the difference was I was living a purposeless life. There was no purpose in what I was doing. Therefore, I could use my gifts and talents, but they weren't fulfilling because I was using it for my own use, my own benefits. And it was like an empty vessel. There's nothing in it. And it was funny how that realization that once I surrendered my life and I chose the life that God had for me, the life that I was created for, being all in on that, how I still got to operate in my gifting, that threw me off. I was like, wait a second. Like, I started to ask a lot of questions because I thought it was different. I thought they were separate things, and they really weren't. It was just like, what am I feeding my spirit? Therefore, that's what's going to come out of me. But I recognized, because I still had the same failures. I still had I made the same mistakes. I would try to do something and fall short. Those same experiences happened without God and with God in my life, as far as how I was living.
Okay.
But what I'm getting at, where I'm going with this is, it was amazing how in living in my purpose, failure felt different. Instead of it wanting to make me drink or do some meth or cocaine, not some, I did a lot. Instead of triggering that where I would use drugs, it triggered the dusting myself up, get up and try again. Get up and try again. And it felt gratifying. It felt rewarding, even in failure. Living in my purpose and pursuing my purpose, that failure felt different. It felt more uplifting, more constructive, more purposeful, more meaningful. Failure had meaning with God, when without God, it didn't. And that revelation for me was so empowering, to be able to walk more boldly and to take more risk, because it seemed like even though I was jumping out of airplanes with no parachutes, I didn't need the parachute, because somehow I was going to get caught and I was going to be okay. And then I was going to be placed back on the path to try again. That's life with God versus life without, in my experience. I'd love to know for you, is there any similarities to that?
So, another philosophy that I would say, or one of my thoughts which helps me, is that hide nothing, fear nothing. But you got to be in that space, because everybody in its own way carries the shadows. But Joshua, just before we can go further on this one, there is some In your talk, there was a statement which I always say is that you have to be in the darkest of space to recognize light.
Yeah. Yeah.
Through your darkest of pains comes your purpose. So, if you had everything going well for you, would you have become the person that you are now?
No, absolutely not. 100% not. I wouldn't have the mission I have now. I mean, I would care for people, but not quite like I do now. Like,
Okay.
totally different. Yeah.
Certain things happen to me in life. I remember one of the examples I would say was about my loss of my dad and the job. That was one of the things. But I realized there is a reason why it has happened. And because of that pivot, I went and I pushed myself to the boundaries that I had never known about.
Hmm.
For me, doing 3 marathons in a year was good, was excellent. But when you go and push yourself, and then the next year after that, I did around 7 marathons in 7 weekends. I
Yeah.
did a
Dumb.
Then I did 100 kilometers or 65 miles, 111 kilometers and 65 miles run, again raising money for cancer. But another element which you mentioned is that there are times wherein we fall, we fail. Like one of my last runs was in South Africa, wherein I got injured just before the run. I could have said, "Why? I did around 4 months of training, and this is what happened."
Mhm.
But if I look at it, is that there was a purpose to it. The purpose was I could focus myself in writing this book so that it gets completed. I could have gone slowly with it, but there was a reason why it happened. So there is a plan. There is always what we call it as the divine plan, or as told by famous poet, there is a divine comedy which takes place. We got to go with the flow. So yes, there is a purpose for everything which takes place, and once you accept it, your success is more sweeter. Whether it's a success or a loss, it is more sweeter to accept it as an entity you are as a human.
Mm-hmm. I love that. That is beautiful.
Thank you.
So well said. All right. This is actually a good question. I like this question because it's actually something that I've struggled with.
Okay.
The balance between pushing your limits and honoring your need for rest is a delicate one. How do you listen to the signals of your own body and spirit? And what advice do you have for others cultivating this self-awareness?
So I would not say advice, I would say suggestion, because advice, even I do not like people advising me about things. But
same,
suggestions, yes.
same here.
I will suggest you some particular thing is that yes, we humans are capable of unimaginable feats or activities. But you got to realize that your body has got a certain limit. There are amazing people like David Goggins who goes and pushes all the limits. But having the maturity to know there are so many runs I've done, and I have walked back to the finish line with my head put down because I did not finish the run. But I had the maturity to stop the run when I felt what was the point? Was it to uplift my ego, or was it about listening to my own body?
Hmm.
Believe me, you're in that body. The body knows it best. But there's a difference between laziness and you're just trying to be too easy on your own self. There's always a saying that when you feel something's not right, maybe push yourself for another 10 minutes more. And then when you really realize it's not right, take a step back. Be proud that you went ahead and you did it. And that makes a world of a difference.
Mm,
So, taking a rest is as equally important as training.
yeah.
If taking rest was not important, why is this concept of sleeping that we are supposed to give our body a rest? Because in its own way, it is fragile. The more you take care of your body, the more it will take care of you.
Oh gosh. Yes, 100%. That's so beautifully said.
Yeah.
I asked that question because I have, for the last year, well, since last January in 24, when the tremors started, I had a hard time figuring out the balance that I could live within. Like, how much could I actually do that day without aggravating the situation that I was dealing with? And for 9 months, I was limited. I could maybe do 1 or 2 hours of work a day without causing something crazy. Like talking caused problems, like everything caused problems. But little by little, I started to figure out, okay, I can do more here on this end to help build up my stamina and what I can take physically. But it was a back and forth thing. Sometimes I would run myself. When I first started doing this broadcast, I was so excited about it and so passionate about it that like I kept doing it, and I would do 2 a day, and then I made myself worse where I had to stop for 6 months, or it was actually 4 months, but I stopped for 4 months, and then I started doing it again. And this time I'm like learning, okay, like I'll push it a little bit, but I've learned my boundary. Traveling was a new thing for me to do the first time in a year, which you saw.
Just
I did it. Did it cause some after effect? Yes. But the fact is I did it. And so now I know I can do it. I just know that I'm going to have to care for myself a little bit extra after I do that strenuous, or if I'm around a lot of cell phones and a lot of human bodies, I know that I'm going to need some recovery time, but I can still do it. And that is a good feeling for me, because it's like, okay, I know I can do this, but I need to take care of myself. And I know this is probably a weird way to relate to you as a marathon runner, but
no,
sometimes I feel like I run a marathon every day.
it is,
My head moves.
it is. Each one, the way I believe is that each one does a marathon every day. Or in the way I put it in my analogy is that everybody carries their own cross. We cannot
Yeah.
realize the weight of their cross and compare it to the weight of our cross. And most importantly, when they say a road of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, yes, you can do 1,000 miles. Small, consistent, everyday discipline will get you to the 1,000 miles. When we talk about people who have done something more, and I say it in my podcast, is that I'm talking to ordinary people, but they have done little extra, and we call them extraordinary. So we do not have to go and do something spectacular, huge the next day. No, small extra steps gets you to the space of being extraordinary.
I agree with that. Took me a long time to learn that, because I was always swinging for the fences, trying to hit a grand slam every time at bat.
Yeah, we feel that that's the way it is. But then you don't realize when you're hitting that, your shoulder is also taking the brunt of it.
That's right. That's right. Oh, wow. That is, boy, we could just talk about that for an hour. I want to go to this next question, though.
Sure.
Are there any particular individuals, thinkers, or spiritual traditions that have profoundly influenced your understanding of the human spirit and our capabilities?
There was a very, very old book which said in the likes of many masters. What I work towards, again, it's work in progress, is that see another human as another master, as another teacher, because everybody comes with their own lesson. Whether it is a lesson in patience, whether it's a lesson in anger, whether it's a lesson in selfishness, but it becomes a reflection of us. I have been a voracious reader. So I've been reading many different books, whether it is Deepak Chopra or whether it is Joe Dispenza or whether it is Eckhart Tolle. On the other side, if people ask me, how do you range the books that you're reading? I would say I range it from Asterix, the comic hero, to Asimov, the
Mhm.
scientist, writer. So it is a different range. It's so there are different personalities, and if there was a question which was asked, is that if I'm sitting for lunch or dinner with some personalities, who would that be, dead or alive? I would look out for people like Mandela, Gandhi, or Teresa. Not Mother Teresa, not because they've come to that particular position. For me, it is more about what were the steps they took to reach over there.
Hmm.
And for me, that's the way it is. Yes, there have been many masters, but again, my faith, my belief, that plays a huge part in where I am. So that's where I am.
That's a beautiful answer. All right, the last question.
Sure.
What is one question you've always wanted to be asked in an interview that you've never been asked before? That you've always wanted to be asked?
Actually, from the time I've started my podcast, I always say that I walk in without any script. So do unto others what you expect others to do unto you. So for me, all questions are equally important. I'm not trying to be politically right. I'm not trying to be playing it safe. But every question opens up something. If it doesn't open up something which is profound within you, it's not a question. This conversation, Joshua, really stirred a lot of thoughts within me. And is there another question? I would love this conversation to go on and on, but I don't, I've not really thought about if there would be a question that people would ask me. It was one of those questions where people say, what would you like to when you are grown up, to the small kids?
Mhm.
Nah, it always changes. So I
Well,
leave life open. They put out the questions, and it's how I answer back to life.
I would actually, I want to ask, I do want to ask this question.
Sure.
Um, and I know this is a question that's asked in other interviews, but I really love it. And it's like if you had a message, like you today, the number 7 pops in my mind today. This is the first time I ever asked this question. If you could, don't know why 7 popped in my head, but 7, maybe for me, maybe it was about my 7-year-old self. Don't know. Anyway, okay.
Okay.
If you could go talk to your 7-year-old self right now, what would you say?
That's a beautiful one. I don't know if the 7-year-old would understand, but maybe
Hmm?
is that I would say is that we all have an unshakable mental strength to handle life's toughest moments. There is always a sustainable path to growth and success. Challenges will be there, but the moment you take challenges as a stepping stone, that's when the transformation takes place.
Hmm.
One of the things which now, when you're asking me the question, I'm just going back to my 7-year-old. I was very a low self-esteem, very scared, very requiring validation. All those particular amazing qualities what a 7-year-old kid would have. I would say, don't worry. Life is wonderful. Learn how to live life, not exist in life. Yeah, that would be exactly the thing, that learn how to live a life, not to just exist life.
That was awesome. That was awesome. Wow. Man, Thomas, that was fantastic. And the cool thing is that you've already agreed to let me use part of this in my upcoming book.
Sure.
And so like I'm sitting here the whole time going, wow, that's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to put that in. And like I haven't, because all the other interviews I've done, I've had the idea in my head. I've just never decided to do it.
Mhm.
And so I've never had that dialogue going on in the back of my head as I'm talking to someone going, that's going to go in the book. That's going to go in the book. But I had a lot of that, and I'm grateful for you. What I would love to do now is give you the final word. I would like for you to plug anything that you want to plug. But if there's anything on your heart to share, I don't care what it is. If it's a political statement, if it's a religious, it doesn't matter. It's absolutely your choice to say what you want to say without interruption. You get to plug anything you want, share anything you want. The floor is yours. You get the final word, sir.
Thank you so very much. Suddenly, when you're in a spotlight, you do not know what to say. But as I have always believed, is that there are few statements that I've mentioned it time and time again. Is that one of the statements I mentioned was, "There are no strangers, only friends we have not met." Everybody we meet, you do not know what is across or the challenges that they are going through. Be kind. You're given one life. Respect the body that you're in, because that's where you're living. Okay, it's not about the outer, but what is there inside. So here we are talking about mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and finally physical. I mean, physical also comes in. I am the reason I'm not. I don't say that I'm a wise sage, but these learnings I have got when I started writing this particular book. And yes, do read it. It's going to be quite transformational, because a lot of times for me to be convinced would take some time. And it's not because it's this book. I've read a lot, and I know that when something turns out to be a game changer, this could be one of those game changers. Most importantly, be kind to your own self.
Hmm.
Okay. Believe in being present. Yes, prepare for the future. Okay, but past is just an experience. What has gone through, you cannot change the past, but you can. I say is that tomorrow is the no, today is the tomorrow that you worried about yesterday. I'll repeat. Okay, today is the tomorrow that you worried about yesterday. So be now, be present. Again, life is for living. Go and live, and be kind to another human. Thank you for that, Joshua.